Hello, everyone. Welcome to Building Public with Natively. Today, we're super excited to have Hatton. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Like he built his own mobile app with Natively, and today we are here to actually have a live demo of what he has built, but also just to show you the app, and hopefully one of you or all of you would be potential users of this app. So I'm gonna give the floor to Hatton, and then if you can tell more about yourself, kind of how did you start build like coming to Vibe coding world, the like mobile app, but
Sure.
also what do you do on your daily life? As also, like you have a very nice background, so you can tell about that.
So, so my name's Hatton. Like Shahid said, I'm by my normal job. I'm the director of technology solutions for an HR company. So I have been in the IT and tech world for 30 years now, and have been have been writing and working in the coding, application development, application architecture environment for that whole period of time. I started off, just building basic apps, learned the joys of databases, spent some time teaching. So I taught I taught coding, C++, C Sharp, as well as electronics and networking. The what got me over to natively and into the concept of vibe coding, I was looking at where I was at career wise, experience wise, job wise, and just said I need to get myself more current, more up to date with everything that's going on in today's world. And so after some searching, I came across natively, and I had an app in mind already. So this app is actually my second vibe coding tool. The first I built is a web-based app that is for the volunteer fire company that I'm a member of. It's an inventory tool that's just purely web-based. That lives on Render as a hosting, and I used Cursor for that. And that was an interesting experience. But then I had an event that happened in my life with my mom passing. And so I realized that I needed something kind of as an outlet, kind of as a way to work through some of the grief and some of the things that I was dealing with. And so I came up with this idea of a grief journal that's based around using a voicemail or text messaging type interface. So because I live 1,500 miles away from where my mom was, I would call her every day. And if I didn't talk to her, I would leave her a voicemail or I would send her a text. So that's where the idea for this platform came out is if you boil it down and take all the emotions away, it's basically a note-taking app that's wrapped in the concept of having a recipient, and you have either a text message or a voice recording. There are some other things that I'd like to build into it in the future, and that'll be future releases. But for the moment, this is this is where the app is. And I named it "Say It Anyway." Sometimes from an emotional standpoint, sometimes you sit and you say, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't need to. I shouldn't feel it. No, just say it anyway. So that's the name of the app is Say It Anyway Grief Journal. So
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and share the app here. This is the natively environment, and this is a really nice environment working with the AI, working with the agents here has made it easy to work through things. I had tried building this in a couple of different vibe coding platforms before I landed on natively, um, and none of them really. They'd start with the process correctly, and then somewhere along the way, it would just go completely off the rails. Um, so natively's done a good job of keeping things on track when it comes to that. And the integration with GitHub has made it nice and easy because this is an open source app at this point. I haven't put the actual GPL on there, but it's out in a public GitHub. Um, so the application as it is today starts off with a very simple interface. It's designed to look kind of like a phone screen, and just going along, just talking through the interface from the bottom up. So I'm going to start first with the settings. Now, understand, I'm a data person. I'm a programmer. I'm I'm not someone that worries about pictures or graphics. I always used to say me plus graphics equals stick figures. And so, but I married an artist. So when I showed this to my wife, she said, "It's a great idea, honey, but it looks horrible." So I had it go. I built it in so that you can select themes. So, like for example, right now we're going um into Valentine's Day. So I might select a sunset rose, or I might do a ruby jewel. I also
Yeah.
did it so that you can customize the colors. I also made it so that you can select a number of pre-built background images. So, for example, if I want to do like a dawn sky, and then I can also adjust the transparency for how visible that is. This is all just kind of make it look more appealing, make it look easier to use. There is a help button. I know I need to go into this and add things like links to the privacy policy. There is no data retention. The data of this app lives on the phone. That's one thing that I wanted to make sure of, is when people use this app, they know their information, what they're typing in, because this can be highly personal, highly emotional stuff. And that information only lives on the device. There is no data link. There is no database on this. And I did that on purpose, just to make sure that people understood that this is their stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so that's one of the things that I always want to make sure that I reinforce there. Um, there's a button here that I'll come back to, this SOS, but
Mhm.
I'll explain. I'll come back to that in a minute. So when we first load in, we add a recipient, and I'm not going to bother with uploading a picture, but you can create a recipient. Um, Put in a date of birth, and then if they pass, and I'll come back to why I say if in just a minute, but you can put in the information. You can also set them as default recipients. And the reason that you might do this is you might have multiple people that you're leaving, that you're using this to kind of, the term I use is scream into the void at. Now, the reason that I say this could also be, you might not use this specifically for the same reason that I'm using it. People can go through emotional scenarios where they want to be able to just journal something and leave messages somewhere, where it might be a divorce, it might be you're far away from home, and dealing with homesickness. It could be a loss of a loved one. So there's multiple reasons that I've realized after I built this app that this would be useful for. So once we create a contact, we can go in, and there's two options. There's either a write message, which the write message is just as simple as it sounds. It's to take text messages, and it will store your messages in time order as you put them in. You can actually hide them and then show or hide hidden. You can't delete messages. There's no real reason to. You can also do an audio recording. Let's see if it's going to let me do both the. Okay, let's try this soon. Okay. I don't know if this is actually going to record and come over to the blog at the same time. So if it doesn't, I apologize, but we'll see what happens here. Okay. So we'll save that. Yep. It did actually record it. So
Nice.
it will allow you to do either the voice message or the text message. One of the future revisions that has me a little stumped trying to figure out how the best way to handle, for future revisions of this app, is I do, if you note there's a transcription, a block there for transcription. I want to be able to transcribe the messages. And here's why. One of the things that I wanted to make sure is people know that they're not alone.
Yep.
Everybody grieves differently, everybody deals with situations differently, but if the app sees, if you go into the text message and you type something, right now it only hits the text messages, but if you type something and it finds a trigger word that is indicating some kind of self-harm. So if you're talking about, I just want to end it all, or I just, I can't go on, I can't do this, it will show this message. And so now these numbers are currently US specific. Another update, actually the next update that I'm working on, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to get this data, is I'm working on grabbing the region or the locale from the device and then updating these numbers based on and this information based on where the user actually physically is. So
Wow, this yeah.
that's say it anyway. It has some room for growth. It is live on the Apple Store for the previous version. I'm working on getting the updated version. There's a profile and stuff on the previous version. It's optional to do the profile, but that's the first thing people click on apparently.
Yep.
But we're going live on the Play Store on the Google Play Store tomorrow. At least it gets out of the closed testing for the Google Play Store tomorrow.
That's super nice. Thank you so much, Hanson, for the demo. I can share the like. First of all, actually, you just told me the very deep thoughts myself because I lost my brother a year ago, and I do sometimes because I mean I talk to him, every day, and
Hmm.
sometimes I just send a message to him on WhatsApp, knowing that he
Hmm.
will not, of course, like reply. But yeah, I mean, this like live demo took me to a very different mood, and this is kind of like something which really like makes me happy in a sense that people can actually build the apps that they want, and even if it can be just like for themselves. And I do understand, because I had this experience myself, and I'm going through this grieving moment as well.
Hmm.
It has been more than a year, and I think that, yeah, like, it's just like, I'm so happy that, you shared this, but also, you were brave enough to actually build it, but also like let others use it because I mean, there are so many of us are, grieving and losing someone. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and it's
thankful of you.
and I'll tell you, as I've gotten older, you can tell I'm no spring chicken here.
Yes,
Um,
as well.
but as I've gotten older, I've realized, the need for self care, the need for therapy, the need for help is important. And we never stop grieving.
Yep.
We never stop grieving. I lost my dad in 2020, and I miss him. It's a different loss for a number of reasons, but it's still it's something that this is a tool that I honestly think will serve the greater good,
Yeah.
and that's why I thought about like things for things like the transcription. There's not a way right now that I've found that can do in-app transcriptions
Mm.
of the voice messages without reaching out to an external API, and there's a cost associated with that. And I'm not made of money, so I
Wow.
can't pay for that for everybody. But we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out and make it work.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. So let me share my screen and like change the mood a bit.
Yeah, sorry.
Because I also like went to a different mood, like when you did the live demo. Yeah, so I really, I mean, I really hope that no one is going through grief moment now, and I hope that no one is missing, um, like losing a mom, dad, or kind of anyone, like the pleased ones. But I know that this is life, and it happens at some point. And
Hmm.
I think that also like this is, I mean, maybe like you can look at it as a grief journal, but also you can look at it as more of a simple journal that helps you to actually have your self-thought, have your thoughts and notes there. And I think that, yeah, I super, encourage all of you. So if you go on App Store, you just write "Say It Anyway" grief journal, you'll find it,
Hmm.
and there will be, a new version of this app very soon because I downloaded the first version and I gave some feedback, and now I see, the app looks amazing. It's like looks very different,
Hmm.
and of course, with every update, things are improving. But if you need this app and if you know can give a feedback to Hudson, and then like so just like it's for free, I think just go download it, see how it works, and then I give a feedback. So to improve,
Yes.
I think this can help a lot of people um, for just like simple, like just like grieving, but also have some self reflection, some thoughts there.
Yeah.
I really like the logic of the app, and also the SOS part that has been a very thoughtful feature to be honest. This has been built solely for Hunton himself, but also like he is super kind to share it with all of us. I would really encourage you all to go download this, but also this will be available in Android in the Play Store as well. So you can search with the same name,
Hmm.
and then like find it out. But if you cannot find it out, please uh, drop a comment, and also we will try to put the links to Play Store and App Store and a YouTube description so you can actually go and download it. Yeah, this is something that I wanted to share.
I agree.
My question is that, I mean, like, are there kind of like, what has been like your journey like? Because coding, C++ and other things. So how is the vibe coding actually changing your concept about coding?
It's interesting because, again, since I've taught data concepts and since I've taught programming and I've done all of this, I got out of, I don't think I've touched any actual code aside from SQL code in like 5 years. So when I started looking at the vibe coding journey, understanding, one of the things that I learned early on, and I've been an avid user of ChatGPT for a long time. I've got the $20 a month subscription. My wife and I use it all the time. But the main thing that we we found is knowing how to properly write the prompts
Mhm.
is the most important thing. The initial prompt for this app was 7 paragraphs long. And, because I wanted to be very specific in the sections and the segments. Now, my understanding is, and I'm not sure where natively is on this piece, but I have not started using agents well. And I guess vibe coding works well with agents. So that's the next thing to learn. This is all a learning process for me.
Yeah,
Excuse
yeah,
me. Yeah, that's how the journey has been. And I started working on this. You talk about timelines. There's rapid development, or rapid prototype is a term that I used to use, but it's this total start to finish. And this is going through, I think I did base 44, I did React, and then I ended up on natively. So across all three platforms, I didn't start until October
yeah.
working on this. So it's a very quick turnaround time. I've been really impressed with that piece. How it will work with some of the more complex things that on the agenda next, especially since I started my real world programming, stuff that I was actually pushing out in a web based world using a language that most people don't even know exists,
Which one
called
is it?
Cold Fusion.
Okay. Okay.
Adobe Cold Fusion was a markup language. I keep saying was. It still exists. It's still
Yeah,
used. It's still functional. Is a markup language, and that's where I cut my teeth. On my professional work world. So changing my mindset to using the API model for data interaction, using the concept of NoSQL, which is basically a fancy term for an XML file. Let's
yeah.
call it what it is. It's a strange journey, going from where I was to this new world, and doing it while I'm still doing my regular job, because
Yeah.
this is a side gig for me.
Yeah. I mean, as my last question, is there some tips and tricks that you want others to learn?
So since everything is request driven, and number of request driven, um, phrasing, building, and developing your prompts so that you get the most bang for your buck out of each out of each prompt that you put in is really the important thing in my mind. One of the things, especially where I got really frustrated with the other two platforms, I would say I would send one directive. They would make massive number of changes, and then all of a sudden, I have no prompts left. And that's really the barrier to entry for vibe coding, in my opinion, is that understanding of the resources that you're utilizing to build these apps. I'm used to being able to go in and edit files and change code and do that. And eventually my goal is to take the code that's written here and dig through it and understand the the actual code better, so that I don't have to say, I want to change the way that a font is presented. I shouldn't have to use a prompt to change a font
Yeah.
unless it's complete system wide. That's one of the big things. And then honestly, the other massive barrier to it's not even barrier to entry, it's more barrier to exit, is getting things published on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Um,
Yeah.
they've both organizations have made it. They put some barriers in to make it not make it a little bit more difficult. Which, from a keep the crap out, I understand, but it's a little daunting.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like regarding the visual one, like the fun one. So we're actually kind of upgrading our visual editor a lot. So like there's gonna be a huge
Uh huh.
update there. You can actually change the fonts, do all the so like that should like coming out very soon. Like we still have the visual editor, but that's a very basic one. But then this will be kind of more advanced Figma within natively like type of thing, and that like hopefully will actually help a lot of the builders to not waste their prompts on the designs, the font, and all this sort of things.
Yeah. The other thing that would help on the natively side, especially when you're
Mm.
publishing to the Apple Store,
Yeah,
is the sample here. The demo that's on here
yeah,
is a nice representation of an Apple iPad screen, Apple iPhone screen. Apple
yeah,
requires you to upload an iPad screenshot. So
yeah,
I had to get creative in how I went into. I launched it using the Expo. I deployed it using the Expo
yeah,
launch, but instead of launching to Apple, I launched it to a web demo, grabbed a
yeah, yeah.
screenshot of that, and then had
That
ChatGPT wrap that with an iPad screen.
that's kind of creative one. Yeah, that's kind of works good. But yeah, like thank you so much, Hutton, for doing this. And I really
Yeah.
hope our listeners, watchers, they kind of go download your app, and then like it can be really helpful for them. And also, as there is like new updates coming soon, so it will be amazing to use that. Last words or anything to add in the end, please.
No, no, thank you for giving me the opportunity to share and show the app. This is when we say things are a labor of love, this truly is.
Yeah,
This is something that's weighed on me since mom passed, and
yeah.
it's really it's kind of fitting because her birthday was the 26th, so it'll be launching right in time for her birthday on the Android store.
That's super, heart touching, and really hope that she rests in peace, like all of our beloved ones who passed away. And so, thank you so much again for doing this. Yeah,
Mhm.
hope to see you soon again for another live demo.